Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, transparenttradesolutions.com on a Friday, 27th March. Um, Again, I'm doing this at noon, a little after noon Eastern, Pacific, I should say, on the West Coast. Let's get right into the charts. Obviously, again, another Friday sell-off with the usual, oil up, stocks down. And added to that, we've got um, mega caps just cannot get moving here. So let me share my charts real quick here. Can't forget that. All right. So as you can see, the S&P now down over 10%. Next levels, again, we couldn't even get above the Sunday highs and yesterday's last, late day tweet by Trump about postponing uh, is not helping anymore. So this is going to be a change here. We've got 6372 is the first support area in the Nat and the S&P, and we've got the demand at 6,300. So again, are we going to get down there in a straight line? Maybe. Again, we're coming into the weekends. A lot of the bad news is already getting discounted here. Obviously, if oil breaks above 100, that's still the key. But even despite that, stocks just cannot get a bid here. So at some point, you're going to get some type of a bounce, whether it comes from this level or that level. We'll have to see. And obviously, things could change over the weekend if there's some kind of ceasefire or whatever. That still, would probably get some kind of a bounce. The question is that just going to be a bounce to be sold into? Obviously, Nasdaq, the brunt of the selling because of the mega caps. You saw, Meta down sharply yesterday. Looks like that's headed to 23. 300. In terms of any supply zone, there really isn't anything till about 22,500 demand zone, I should say. So again, very, very steep declines here. If you were long the TQQQ puts, you're doing okay with that. Um, Interestingly, the small caps are not really getting hit as hard as you would think. So that's kind of an interesting development. Let's see if they can hold that 24, 22. So relative to the mega caps, the small caps are actually holding up. Also, Bitcoin risk off. That's also at a critical level at 65,500. If it breaks that, then probably going to test 60K. So that's also worth watching. And the VIX looks like it's spiking up to 35. Um, you know, is this going to be that washout we've been looking for? Still obviously, you only know until the rear view mirror, but I think we're getting closer. I think the risk now at these levels, if we do get a spike overnight on Sunday, let's say, that could get you a short-term bounce. We'll have to see. Rates also being a problem here. They are holding below 450 for the moment. So I think if they can pull back, uh, that may be something that could also be could cause a bounce in stocks. As we've been talking about the dollar still trying to break above 100, maybe that happens if the acceleration stocks continue. Um, we'll have to see. And gold, interestingly, is trying to rally, but nothing. I still think that if I think it's holding because the dollar's holding steady. However, if the dollar breaks out above 100, gold's headed right back down again. So that's something to watch also coming into the weekend. Everybody knows oil. Oil looks like it's right at 100 at equilibrium. Remember, I wrote the newsletter 2 weeks ago. I said this is again, we could go to 120 again, 119, or back down to 80, depending on what happens. So, at a critical juncture as well. And obviously, this will be the driver in terms of, now aside from all the other negatives in the stock market, what is going to be interesting if gold does continue going up let's say above 100 in stocks, don't sell off as hard as they've had lately. Because if you make the case of oil, oil was at 113. This is the May contract when uh, stocks were a lot higher, right? And so oil hasn't even come up to the highs when the tensions broke out in the Middle East. And so, at some point, the stocks are going to discount oil. So that's really something that you got to think about, right? So, if this was the case and and oil is driving, you can see that, oil up here, you would say that, at this point, we haven't even reached oil up here. So I think at some point it's going to break the link because again, remember a lot of bad news is already being priced into stocks. So we'll see how that goes. And then, interestingly, nat gas trying to catch a bid here, still hasn't broken out. I still, there's just nothing there. Some of these stocks are getting somewhat attractive here. Apple, incidentally, did rally this morning. That's at what 240 could be getting interesting. Nvidia, some of these other stocks. So going to be obviously a very interesting weekend. But I do believe, the fact that the stocks are selling off so hard is largely discounting a lot of the potential bad news. Could it get worse? Of course. But I think any kind of glimmer of ceasefire or whatever, a deal over the weekend is going to get a bounce. Whether that's again a bounce to short into, that still remains to be seen. But that's where we're at. So the good news is volatility's really high, which, yeah, again, from a futures perspective, if you're trading momentum, you're doing pretty good right now. A downside momentum, obviously, got to be careful with some of these bounces going into the weekend. So, that's the good news. Stocks are just kind of, getting sold or range bound, so you got to pick your spots. Obviously, energy stocks are the winners. Those are going to get unwound very, very quickly if the conflict gets settled. So you be careful chasing those as well. All right. Again, subscribe to the newsletter. I'll be writing about some stuff this weekend. Uh, put some comments in the chat below. Have a great weekend. Take care.